Let me begin with a simple question. Have you ever bent yourself so much for someone that one day you looked in the mirror and couldn't recognize who you had become? Have you ever noticed how a person can be surrounded by people yet feel completely invisible inside? How someone can give so much, adjust so much, compromise so much, and still feel unappreciated? Many men live in this quiet confusion. They believe that the more they give, the more they will be loved. That if they become endlessly agreeable, endlessly available, endlessly understanding, someone will finally choose them. But life teaches a very different lesson. Kindness is a beautiful quality. It softens hearts and builds bridges. But when kindness is mixed with fear, it turns into something unhealthy. It turns into losing yourself to keep someone else comfortable. It turns into silence when you should speak, tolerance when you should walk away, and self-doubt when you should stand tall. And slowly, without realizing it, you start shrinking, not physically, but emotionally and spiritually. There is a quiet strength in knowing your value. A man who respects himself does not need to announce it loudly. His behavior speaks for him. He listens, but he also knows when to say no. He cares, but he does not beg to be cared for. He stays gentle, but he does not allow himself to be treated cheaply. This balance is not arrogance, it is emotional maturity. Sometimes we think love is about proving our worth again and again, replying faster, giving more, ignoring our own discomfort. But real connection is not built on performance, it is built on presence. When you stop trying to impress and start being authentic, something interesting happens. You become lighter. You stop acting. You stop calculating every word. You stop fearing that one mistake will make you unlovable. People naturally respect those who respect themselves. Not because they are harsh, but because they are stable. Like a tree with deep roots, it does not run behind the wind comes to it. Desperation, however, is noisy. It rushes, it over-explains, it tries to hold too tightly. And whatever is held too tightly eventually slips away. This is not a lesson about becoming cold or distant. It is about becoming centered, about choosing dignity over drama, about understanding that love given under pressure is not love, it is a transaction. And transactions always end when the benefits stop. When you value your time, others learn to value it too. When you honor your boundaries, others become careful with them. And when you walk away from what repeatedly hurts you, you teach the world how to treat you. So remain kind, but do not become weak. Remain caring, but do not become invisible. Remain open, but do not abandon yourself. The right people will never require you to break yourself to keep them. They will meet you where you stand, not where you fall. And one day, you will realize that the most attractive thing you ever developed was not your ability to please, but your courage to stay true to who you are. There is a small misunderstanding that many good-hearted people carry in their lives. They believe that if they are endlessly polite, endlessly available, endlessly adjusting, they will be rewarded with love and loyalty. It sounds logical, but life does not work on logic alone, it works on energy, boundaries, and self-worth. When you keep saying yes while your heart is saying no, something inside you begins to fade. Not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly. You start measuring your value through other people's reactions. A delayed reply makes you restless. A change in tone makes you anxious. And without realizing it, your peace becomes dependent on someone else's mood. True confidence is silent. It does not chase, it attracts. It does not beg, it invites. It does not perform, it exists. A man who stands firmly in his values carries a different kind of calm, the kind that does not need approval to breathe. There is a story of a lamp and the sun. The lamp tried very hard to impress the world by burning brighter every day, until one day it exhausted its oil and went dark. The sun never tried to impress anyone. It simply rose each morning, steady and complete, and the world adjusted itself around it. Many people live like the lamp, burning themselves to be noticed. Forgetting that light that destroys itself is not strength, it is fear wearing a polite mask. Being respectful does not mean being powerless. Being gentle does not mean being invisible. And being loving does not mean becoming smaller so someone else can feel taller. When you constantly place others first, you silently tell your own soul that it comes last. Over time, this creates resentment, confusion, and emotional fatigue. You begin to wonder why giving more brings less in return. The answer is simple: what is always available is rarely valued. Self-respect is not built by controlling others, it is built by controlling your reactions, by choosing silence over unnecessary explanations, by choosing distance over repeated disrespect, by choosing peace over emotional chaos. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth becomes visible. The moment you stop negotiating your dignity, your presence becomes powerful. And the moment you stop chasing affection, affection begins to feel natural again. This is not a call to become cold or indifferent. It is a reminder to become balanced, to care without collapsing, to love without losing yourself, to give without emptying your soul. Kindness should be your nature, not your weakness. Let it flow from abundance, not from fear of being alone. Because loneliness with self-respect is lighter than togetherness with self-betrayal. And when you finally choose to stand firmly in who you are, something beautiful happens. You stop asking the world to treat you well, and the world quietly begins to do so. Sometimes the greatest mistake a sincere person makes is confusing acceptance with sacrifice. They believe that to be loved, they must constantly bend. That to be valued, they must become smaller. Slowly, life turns into a performance where they smile even when tired, agree even when hurt, and stay silent even when misunderstood. At first, it feels noble. You tell yourself, I am being patient, I am being understanding. But patience that erases your voice is not virtue. It is fear disguised as goodness. There is a deep difference between caring for someone and abandoning yourself for them. One builds connection, the other builds emptiness. Think of a river. It flows gently, serves the land, nourishes life. But it also knows its direction. It does not stop for every stone that tries to block it. It does not apologize for moving forward. It does not dry itself to keep others comfortable. It remains generous yet unstoppable. Many people lose this inner direction. They wait for messages like thirsty soil waits for rain. Their mood depends on attention. Their confidence depends on validation. Their identity depends on being chosen. And when love becomes a measurement, peace disappears. Real strength is quiet. It does not argue to be seen. It does not chase to be valued. It stands rooted, calm, unshaken. When you respect yourself, your words carry weight even when spoken softly. The world treats you the way you teach it to. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you write a lesson. Every time you accept being ignored, you set a standard. Every time you remain in situations that shrink you, you send a message about your worth. You may think staying silent keeps relationships safe, but silence that hides pain slowly destroys connection. Authenticity strengthens bonds, pretending weakens them. There is peace in knowing you can walk away without bitterness, in choosing distance instead of drama, in understanding that not every door deserves your knock, and not every heart deserves your exhaustion. Being emotionally strong does not mean building walls. It means building foundations. It means loving deeply but standing firmly. It means being warm, not weak. Open, not empty. Some people will only value you when you stop being endlessly available, not because you became cruel, but because you became rare. What is scarce is respected. What is sacred is protected. The day you choose yourself, you do not lose people. You lose illusions. You lose expectations that were never fair. You lose roles you were never meant to play. And in that space, something beautiful grows: dignity, a quiet confidence, a peaceful heart that no longer depends on someone else's approval to feel complete. Remain kind. The world needs kindness. But let your kindness have roots in strength, not fear. Let your love come from fullness, not emptiness. Because the strongest person in the room is not the one who sacrifices himself to be accepted. It is the one who stays whole, even when walking alone. Many people do not realize when they slowly start disappearing from their own lives. It does not happen in one day. It happens in small moments. When you laugh at something that hurts you, when you agree just to avoid conflict, when you delay your dreams to protect someone else's comfort. You call it love, understanding, adjustment. But deep inside, something keeps asking, what about me? The heart is generous by nature. It wants to give, to support, to belong. But when generosity is not guided by wisdom, it turns into self-neglect. And self-neglect slowly becomes self-doubt. There is a difference between bending and breaking. A tree bends during a storm so it does not snap. But if it bends every day, eventually it forgets how to stand straight. Many people bend so often that they no longer remember their original shape. They think being always available makes them important. They think saying yes makes them lovable. They think silence makes them mature. But respect does not grow from disappearance. It grows from presence, from clarity, from quiet firmness. When you are constantly trying to be chosen, you are telling your own heart that it is optional. When you keep tolerating what wounds you, you are teaching others how deeply they are allowed to cut. Love is not proved by endurance. Love is proved by safety. Safety comes from honesty, from boundaries, from the courage to say, "This hurts me," and the strength to walk away when your pain is repeatedly ignored. There is a strange beauty in someone who is emotionally stable. They are not dramatic. They are not desperate. They are not loud. Yet their presence feels solid, like the ground under your feet. You may not notice it every moment, but when it is missing, everything feels uncertain. People are naturally drawn to those who are whole, not those who are hollow from giving too much. When you protect your time, you protect your energy. When you protect your energy, you protect your peace. And peace is the most attractive quality a human being can carry. This does not mean closing your heart. It means choosing carefully where you open it. Not everyone who asks for your kindness deserves your sacrifice. Not every relationship deserves your exhaustion. And not every smile deserves your silence. You are allowed to be gentle and firm at the same time. You are allowed to love and still leave. You are allowed to care without collapsing. The moment you stop negotiating your dignity, your life becomes quieter. Fewer explanations, fewer disappointments, fewer emotional deaths. And in that quiet, you hear your own voice again. It reminds you that you were never meant to be an option in someone else's life. You were meant to be a presence, a person, a whole story, not a supporting character. So stay kind, but do not disappear. Stay loving, but do not become invisible. Stay open, but do not abandon yourself. Because real strength is not about how much you tolerate. It is about how deeply you respect the life you have been given. So today, promise yourself something. You will still be kind. You will still be respectful. You will still be gentle. But you will no longer beg to be chosen. You will no longer shrink to be loved. You will no longer trade your dignity for attention. Because the day you respect yourself, the world changes its tone with you, and the right people will not love you for how much you give. They will love you for who you are. Thank you. Stay calm, stay strong, stay real.